So today, as you know, is the monthly Sankirtan festival, in which all the devotees of various statuses and stripes come together for glorifying Krishna by distributing together Srila Prabhupada's books. You never know whom you're going to meet today. Maybe you'll only distribute one book, but that person's life can change. You know, the first conversation I had with Sankirtan devotees, I was determined not to associate with any devotees, but I loved their books. So to avoid devotees, I would order my books in the mail, in the post. But I heard that Srimad Bhagavatam was now available. So I approached a devotee for Srimad Bhagavatam. Those are the first words out of my mouth to a devotee in this lifetime. Do you have Srimad Bhagavatam? 1 hour later, I was minus $20,000 US. You might meet someone like that on book distribution today. I wanted Prabhupada's book so much that I allowed them to talk me into giving a donation for their new building in New York City. So I gave the equivalent today of $10,000 on the street without ever being to the temple. I gave the equivalent today of $10,000 twice on the street, never having been to a temple. Just 21 years old. Just finished university. So you might meet someone like that today. You don't know. So after I had given so much money, as I said, on the street, the equivalent of $20,000 US as a 21-year-old, the Sankirtan devotees told me, you've given us so much money, you should come to the temple and see where your money's going to. I said, that is a practical point. Let me see where my money has gone to. So that's how I started coming to the temple. So you might meet someone like that today. So therefore, to try and inspire all of us, we're going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. Text 20 and 21. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Say Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asiya.
Say Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asiya.
Purva Prema Bandhare Mudra Udgadiya.
Purva Prema Bandhare Mudra Udgadiya.
Panche Mili Lute Prem Kore Aspadan.
Pancha Mili Lute Prem Kore Aspadan.
Yata Yata Pide Krishna Bade Anukshan.
Yata Yata Pide Krishna Bade Anukshan.
Say Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asiya.
Say Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asiya.
Purva Prema Bandhare Mudra Udgadiya.
Purva Prema Bandhare Mudra Udgadiya.
Pancha Mili Lute Prem Kore Aspadan.
Pancha Mili Lute Prem Kore Aspadan.
Yata Yata Piye Krishna Bade Anukshan.
Yata Yata Krishna Bhare Anushan.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mile Priti Asya.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mile Priti Asya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Pancha Mile Lukti Prema Kare Asvadana.
Pancha Mile Lukti Prema Kare Asvadana.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhate Hanukshana.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhate Hanukshana.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asya.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Pancha Mili Lukti Prema Kare Asvadana.
Pancha Mili Lukti Prema Kare Asvadana.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhate Hanukshana.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhate Hanukshana.
Vaishnavis.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asya.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Pancha Mili Lukti Prema Kare Asvadan.
Pancha Mili Lukti Prema Kare Asvadan.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhare Anukshan.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhare Anushan.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asya.
Sei Pancha Tattva Mili Prithvi Asya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Purva Prema Bandharera Mudra Ukhatiya.
Pancha Mili Lukti Prema Kare Asvadana.
Pancha Mili Lukti Prema Kare Asvadana.
Yata Yata Priya Krishna Bhate Anukshana.
Yata Yata Priye Krishna Bhare Anushan.
Say those. Panchatattva, five truths. Mili, combined together. Prithvi, on this earth. Asya, descending. Purva, original. Prema Bandharera, the store of transcendental love. Mudra, seal. Ugadiya, opening. Panchamili, mixing together all these five. Lute, plunder. Prema, love of Godhead. Koreyaspadan, taste. Yatta yatta, as much as. Piye, drink. Krishna, thirst. Bade, increases. Anukshana, again and again. Translation. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Panchatattva, they broke the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. The more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Mahavadhanyavatara because although he is Sri Krishna himself, he is even more favorably disposed to the poor fallen souls than Lord Sri Krishna. When Lord Sri Krishna himself was personally present, he demanded that everyone surrender unto him and promised that he would then give one all protection. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to earth with his associates, he simply distributed transcendental love of God without discrimination. Sri Rupa Goswami, therefore, could understand that Lord Chaitanya was none other than Sri Krishna himself. For no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can distribute confidential love of the Supreme Person. Let's repeat the translation. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, with his associates of the Pancha Tattva, they broke the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. The more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. Hare Krishna. Om Gana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Pancha Tattva presents variety on the highest spiritual platform. Impersonalists, Mayavadis say everything is one. So what does Krishna say? I'll come as five. A challenge to monotonous oneness. All the Pancha Tattva are qualitatively equal, but three are Prabhus, they are the Lords. And of course, Mahaprabhu is Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord. His first expansion, you know, Balaram. His incarnation, Advaita Acharya. And then there is the Shakti Tattva, the personification of the internal spiritual energy, Gadadhar. And then the Jiva, the living entity, Srivas. It's all going on in the Pancha Tattva. Yes, everything is Krishna, but there are varieties. But the Pancha Tattva together are qualitatively equal. And they've come to distribute love of Krishna, something Krishna himself will not give so freely. We often point out, what does Krishna say in the end of Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharmam prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender to me, and then I'll take over. Shut down your plan-making factory and take my plan. So Krishna makes demands, as Prabhupada explains in the purport. When Lord Sri Krishna himself was personally present, he demanded that everyone surrender unto him and promised that he would then give one all protection. But that same Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gives Krishna away. The most strict Krishna appears as the most liberal and distributes transcendental love of himself. This activity of distributing love of Krishna is so wonderful, so inconceivably wonderful that Krishna himself wants to do it. As stated in the Adi Leela in one purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that all the avatars, all the incarnations of Godhead would rather be devotees and distribute love of Krishna than be incarnations. So today we have our chance. Actually, every day we have our chance, but this is a special day because the community is coming together to participate in the activities of the Pancha Tattva, distributing love of Krishna. You may say, well, wait a minute, where is the love? Love means devotional service. When we talk about the flood of love of Krishna, we're talking about the flood of devotional service. You are going out to engage people in Krishna's service. The rarest opportunity. What Krishna himself will not so readily give, because by love, Krishna can be conquered. But here you are, on behalf of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, you are giving away the opportunity to conquer Krishna. You're giving it out even to those who have not the slightest qualification. What else does Krishna say in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Samat Sarveshu Bhuteshu. How many of you, I'd like to ask the question, were like this before you came to Bhakti? You're on the Brahma Bhuta platform. Fully established in understanding that you're a spirit soul? Anyone like that before you came? Fully established, not just theoretical. Fully established as a liberated soul. Prasanatma, always joyful, beyond material happiness and distress. Anyone was like that? Nasochati nakangchati, never lamenting for what you're missing and hankering for what you don't have. Samat sarveshu bhuteshu, seeing all living entities as equal. What does Krishna say then? Mad bhaktim labhate pra. In that position, what? You can begin devotional service. But none of you were like that. Yet, you have this exalted, most rare opportunity to serve Krishna. What happened? What else does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Showing you how strict he is. Manushanam sahasreshu. Kaschin mam veti tattvata. So few. Jai Shishi Radhalanda Disra Shishi Gornitai. May understand they're not the body. Fewer still are free from material existence. And most few are those who understand Krishna in truth. But today you're giving out that opportunity to understand Krishna in truth. Because of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Pancha Tattva. So one thing we need to understand, actually several things we need to understand about the flood of love of Krishna, is that the more the Pancha Tattva dance and distribute, the more the supply increases. So you're not dealing with any static material phenomenon. You're not dealing with any static material substance. You're dealing with the spiritual energy that's always dynamically increasing. So you're trying to get a realization of that. Therefore, you have your plan, but every year to increase by what percent?
20.
Yes. That gives you realization of the nature of the spiritual energy. It's not subject to laws of time and space. Who was it? Sitaram at the Himsa farm was asking me, talk about a little bit about the inconceivable manifestation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Srila Prabhupada made an impossible demand, we thought. It made no managemental sense. He wanted all the Chaitanya Charitamrita and 5th Canto Bhagavatam in 2 months. This, to this very day, makes no material sense. It's like someone telling Dayalmora Prabhu, in 1 month, I want a brand new building next door, completely refurbished, completely renovated, completely furnished. What would the trustees say? Get rid of this guy. You couldn't say that to Srila Prabhupada, no? And as we pointed out at the Ahimsa farm, you couldn't do a typical maneuver of today. I think I'll get a Siksha guru. Find someone more agreeable. Couldn't do that to Prabhupada. So devotees were stunned. It's like telling a woman, in 1 month, I want you to get pregnant and have a child in 1 month. You just can't compute. And Prabhupada was saying this to the topmost managers of the day for ISKCON. And they were stunned. And they just told Prabhupada, impossible. They were giving Prabhupada 1 book every 6 months. And then, noting Prabhupada's displeasure, they came up with a plan to, I think it was 1 book a month. So they had multiplied, wasn't double it, wasn't triple it. They had multiplied their pace by 6 times. So they were so proud in presenting this to Prabhupada for appeasing his wrath. 1 book a month instead of 1 book every 6 months. They were so, when managers feel they've got something sussed. We solved it. They were so confident and happy. Jai Srila Prabhupada. They presented their plan. 1 book every month. Prabhupada thought about it and said, that means all the books will be finished in 1.5 years. No, I want all the books in 2 months. You couldn't imagine the reaction. But you couldn't say that to Prabhupada. We're not going to do this. This makes no sense. Couldn't do that. Prabhupada planted his cane in the sand on the beach, made it clear, either you do this or you're all rascals. In India, that's a very heavy term to use. It basically meant I cut you off. So devotees were just stunned and shattered. Their material intelligence was pulverized. So they met that night and came up with a plan how they could try to give Prabhupada all those books in 2 months. And then it was like an energy from the spiritual world descended to accomplish Srila Prabhupada's request. Even to this day, those of us who are part of that team can't figure out how it happened. Even today, almost 50 years later, we can't figure out how it was done. It was a miracle. That's the nature of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. And you all have a chance to participate in that. Giving away the opportunity to serve Krishna is unheard of. It's Krishna as Lord Chaitanya breaking Krishna's rules. So everything is there in the Supreme Absolute Truth. Rules and breaking rules. So I was speaking at the Ahimsa farm about what happened when the final book that Prabhupada requested came off the press. It was in the USA because at that time all the books were printed in the USA. A devotee was there waiting at the press to get the first copy, the advanced copy. It was traditional that the first copy of every book we would always take from the press and give it to Prabhupada. Sometimes the pages were gold-lined, special advanced edition. So the devotee was waiting at the press in Tennessee in the USA, some rural area. He got the first book. Immediately went to New York City, got on Air India to go to Delhi to present the book to Prabhupada in person, who was at the Krishna Balaram Mandir celebrating his Vyasa Puja. So the devotee landed in Delhi, got a taxi to Vrindavan, and came to the Krishna Balaram Mandir, entered it just as Prabhupada was getting off his Vyasa-san, finishing the ceremony. The devotee triumphantly followed Prabhupada back to Prabhupada's quarters. You've seen the Krishna Balaram Mandir, Prabhupada's quarters in the back. So you go from the temple down the walkway to Prabhupada's quarters. So the devotee followed him. Triumphant moment. It was like the demigods and the heavenly planets were showering flowers. The Gandharvas were playing drums and dancing. So Prabhupada came to his room, sat down on the Vyasasana. And the devotee came in, paid his dandavats, holding the book out. Prabhupada, we've done it. We've done it. Here it is. I know, because he told me. This devotee told me personally. Prabhupada took the book very calmly and said, you have promised before the Vyasa Puja ceremony. Now it is after. Showing complete detachment after putting his devotees through such a ringer, such an ecstatic ringer. He just replied like that. That was it. So the devotee presenting the book was a little bit bewildered. This wasn't what he expected. He expected, all kinds of praise and all kinds of ki jai and all. What would you have done if that happened to you? Say, forget this. I'm out of here. You expect some reciprocation according to your perception, according to your calculations. But Prabhupada was beyond all that. He was the real spiritual master. He didn't cave in to devotees' material expectations. So that was that until nightfall, when Prabhupada wrote his famous letter that for all those who participated in this mission impossible, they'll go back to Godhead. So you have a chance to participate in that same inconceivable experience of the distribution of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So remember, as this chapter will teach you, the more the Pancha Tattva distributed the contents of the storehouse of love of Krishna, the more the contents increased. What have you ever done that gives you such an experience? And then the Krishna Trishna, the thirst for Krishna. The more the Pancha Tattva would drink the nectar of love of Krishna and distribute it, the more their thirst for it grew. Their spiritual thirst. Try it. You drink some water, and then you feel, okay, my thirst is quenched for a while. But when you drink the nectar of love of Krishna and distributing love of Krishna, the more you drink, the more thirsty you are. You're satisfied, but your thirst increases. Whereas material so-called pleasure momentarily seems to satisfy you, but then you're not satisfied. But Krishna Trishna, you drink it, your thirst is quenched simultaneously with you want more and more and more. I often challenge at outreach events, not so much to this audience because you're all such saintly persons. But at outreach events, I ask, tell me, don't say it out loud, what your favorite indulgence is. Can you indulge in that again and again and yet again without getting disgusted, without getting tired of it? Whatever it is, skiing, scuba diving, you need to take a break. And then you hope that the activity will be fresher upon your resuming it again. But the Krishna Trishna, the thirst for Krishna, the more you drink, you're satisfied, but you still want more. Generally, you want more of something because you're not yet satisfied. But the Krishna Trishna, the more you drink, you're satisfied, but you still want more simultaneously. This is the spiritual platform. So just hear this verse. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. But it was sealed. When Krishna came, he brought the storehouse, certainly, but it was locked up. Then, as you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna thought, I've displayed my pastimes, the Braj Leela, but for a long time I haven't distributed the taste of these loving relationships. That meant it's time for Krishna to appear as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So again, we're talking about the dynamic nature of the spiritual energy. The more the Pancha Tattva dance, the more the supply of love of Krishna increases. The more the Pancha Tattva distribute love of Krishna, the more the supply increases. The more they drink of that nectar, the more their thirst grows. We have a chance to experience that. It's worth it, dedicating your life to this. It's amazing how, through this community Sankirtan, book distribution, you can have the experience of a lifetime. Doesn't mean you'll always be full-time distributing books, but on a day like this, you can get an experience that is unforgettable because you're part of what the Pancha Tattva are doing. The Pancha Tattva would distribute without discrimination. That's the nature of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. Give it away, give it away. Once Lord Chaitanya with Srivas Thakur was wandering in the outskirts of Navadvip. One of my favorite pastimes. They're just wandering. And they happened to walk by a pub. And Lord Chaitanya smelled the alcohol in the air. And what happened? Balaram Bhava. He lost external consciousness of the world and became absorbed in the mode of Lord Balaram. As you know, Balaram has his pastimes with Varuni, liquid honey intoxication. Now, how is it that Nimai Pandit is now acting in the mode of Balaram? But you see, Lord Chaitanya is the original personality of Godhead. He contains all avatars, all expansions, all parts and parcels, all energies. So it's nothing unusual for him to get into the mode of Balaram because Balaram is an expansion of the original personality of Godhead. So just by smelling the liquor in the air, he remembered Varuni beverage. Balaram, you've read that Krishna book, Leela? Bring me honey, bring me honey. Smelling that and entering that existential state of Balaram Bhava, what did Lord Chaitanya say? I'm going in. I'm going into the pub. Srivas Thakur was horrified. Wait a minute now. Wait. He knew Lord Chaitanya has lost external consciousness of the material world. He's 100% spiritual. His body is 100% spiritual. But he's lost in Balaram Leela. So Srivas Thakur has to think fast. He falls at Lord Chaitanya's feet and holds his feet. Have you ever done that? Fallen at someone's feet and held them? And Srivas Thakur begs him, don't go in, don't go in. But Nimai Pandit is roaring, I'm going in, I'm going in, I'm going into the pub. Just by the smell of the liquor, Lord Chaitanya entered the spiritual mood of Balaram and the Varuni Leela. So Srivas Thakur has to think fast. He points out three things to Mahaprabhu, to Nimai Pandit. He said, number one, you are Dharma personified. If you do this, go into a pub filled with the fragrance of alcohol, filled with drunkards, what will happen to the example of following Dharma strictly? That's number one. Number two, what about the blasphemers? People who think you're a mundane person. What will they think? They'll make offenses. Their situation will be worse, these blasphemers. Oh, Nimai Pandit, just see, we knew where he's at. He's gone into a pub. And then finally, your pastimes, the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are bewildering enough, confusing enough. Do you want to do this? People already have a tough time understanding. Lord Chaitanya replied, must I follow the rules and regulations? In other words, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must I follow all these rules? This morality meant for conditioned souls? I'm going in. What was Srivas Thakur going to do? He said, you go in the pub and I shall drown myself in the Ganga. I promise you this. Lord Chaitanya heard that and then relented. All right, because of your words, I don't want your words to prove false, that I go into the pub and you don't drown yourself in the Ganga. So to back up your words, I won't go in the pub. This is the power of a devotee. Restricting the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't go in, don't go in. I've given you all the reasons. And Lord Chaitanya is saying, I will go in, I will go in. So because of the relationship with Srivas Thakur, because of the promise of Srivas Thakur, you go in, I drown myself in the Ganga. Lord Chaitanya said, all right, to back up your words, so you don't have to commit suicide, I won't go in. Because of the contractual, loving relationship I have with my devotees. So Lord Chaitanya didn't go in. He continued walking on the road. But all the drunkards inside the pub saw him. It's Nimai Pandit. They were all drunk. They were all stoned. It's Nimai. Oh, he's such a nice person. He sings and dances so nicely. Oh. So they poured out of the pub and started following Nimai Pandit and Srivas Thakur. And they were imitating Kirtan. Hari, Hari, Jai Narayan. They were imitating a Kirtan party. So Lord Chaitanya, seeing this, laughed. And Srivas Thakur cried to see such mercy enacted upon these drunkards, these alcoholics. So you might think, well, what's the use of that mercy on these alcoholics? They didn't all become devotees immediately, but their devotional service began. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So sometimes just encountering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, people would be drowning in love of Krishna. Sometimes not. You cannot understand how that mercy acts, except everyone will be affected and everyone will benefit somehow. So these drunkards, they didn't stop drinking. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains in his commentary. They didn't stop drinking after they saw Mahaprabhu, but the fact that they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an unerasable event in their material existence. Their devotional service will begin from that point. So Lord Chaitanya and Srivas continued walking on their tour of Navadvip. So you have a chance to taste such nectar. Unpredictable is the Sankirtan experience. Once you experience that even slightly, you can never forget it. You don't know whom you'll meet. I often point out the example I've seen all over the world. Devotees on the monthly Sankirtan festival go out, some of them for the first time. as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, let the feet touch the pavement. That's the beginning of success. And they think they are having a tough time. Oh, one more hour. No one's, I can't distribute books to anyone. I knew it would be like that. All kinds of negative thoughts come to your mind. Why did I decide to do this? It must be social pressure. I wanted to show that I was a big Vaishnava. But I did it. Okay, I'm here. When's it going to be over? When's the feast? And you think the day has been a waste. And then some months or even years later, you meet someone who says, I got a book from you that day, and now I'm here taking up devotional service. And you remember, him, her, that was the only book I distributed. I distributed one book all day. You don't know where these books are going to go, how they're going to turn up. I remember one devotee in the USA. He was a factory worker at the auto factory. And he was visiting his mother who lived in the South. He lived in the North, in Cleveland, an industrial city. His mother lived way down in the deep South. You've seen movies and TV about the deep South. So he was a brown-skinned devotee. So he was driving to his mother's house, and the police stopped him. This is in Alabama. You heard about Alabama. The police stopped him, and they said, do you know what you're doing wrong? He said, no, I was driving with the speed limit. What's the problem, officer? Got to be super respectful because you don't want to get lynched. So, and the police officer looked at him very sternly and said, look at your, I can imitate an Alabama accent, look at your car. On your car, you have the white tires in the back and the black tires in the front. Do you understand, boy? What you doing wrong? So he promised the officer, I'll fix it. You better do it quick, boy. So he went to his mother's house and went to sleep and woke up 8 o'clock in the morning, and above his bed at his mother's house was a bookshelf. And he saw a second canto Srimad Bhagavatam. What is this? He couldn't even pronounce the title. Srimad Bhagavatam. So he started reading it and then put it back. And then drove 12 hours to his home city and started work again. But the next year he came back to visit his mother. He didn't get stopped by the police in Alabama this time. So he went to sleep, woke up. There's that book, Srimad Bhagavatam. So he started reading a bit more, and he asked his mother, where did this book come from? She said, your brother, when he was in Germany, got this book. Someone distributed this book when he was a soldier in Germany. So now the book went all the way to the USA on this bookshelf and was sitting there. So this time, he asked his mother, can I take this book with me? She said, sure. I can't even pronounce the name. Don't even know why it's there. So he took the book all the way back to his home city in the North, in Cleveland, and started reading it and then ordering his books from the BBT mail order like I did. I wanted to avoid devotees. In his case, he didn't know any devotees. And then one day, he was driving to start his shift at the auto factory. And he saw some devotees. And they invited him. He stopped his car. It was 6 in the morning. They invited him to a program. A program turned out given by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. So they said to him, you got to come to a program tonight. A bad brother is going to be there. He's a brother and he's bad. So he went to the program and he liked it very much, but somehow or other he lost contact with devotees. But one morning, as he was driving to the early morning shift at the auto factory, he saw devotees leaving a building. They had just finished Mangal Arti. And so he stopped his car. He was so happy he found devotees again. And he asked them, what are you doing? It's 5 o'clock in the morning. They said, well, we just finished chanting and dancing. He said, wow, y'all party at 5 a.m. in the morning? And from that point, he just became a devotee, fully practicing devotee to this day. All because someone, his brother, bought a Bhagavatam in Germany, brought the book back to the USA. The book just sat on someone's bookshelf. So this is the power of the distribution of flood of love of Krishna. I already told you what I did before even visiting the temple one time. I had no intention of visiting the temple, but I just loved the books. Twice I gave the equivalent of $10,000. As a 21-year-old guy, wasn't even 22 yet. These kind of miracles can happen. So remember about the Pancha Tattva. The more they dance, the more the supply of love of Krishna increases. This is the nature of the holy name. This is the nature of Sankirtan. It is not subject to material laws of nature. So we have a chance to participate in something that's rare for Krishna himself. He doesn't ordinarily give out these opportunities. But that same Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya and freely gives Krishna away. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. It's one day a week where I will make my special effort today. I have to get on the plane and fly across the ocean tomorrow, but I will put in some time on the monthly Sankirtan Festival book tables. All right, any questions?
Thank you for the class, Maharaj. This question is a slightly tangential topic.
Uh-oh.
So when we see that all the avatars, including Pancha Tattva, in like as close as just 500 years back, all of these are happening in India. One of the questions that I got in one of the programs in India that I was not able to answer convincingly was, despite Krishna, Rama, including Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Pancha Tattva, taking their birth in India, India is backward now in so many ways, not just economically, a lot of crime, a lot of corruption, a lot of negative things that are happening in the land where all the avatars have taken, literally the singular land where all the avatars have taken place. Why is that so?
Now in India, so many devotees are coming, especially young ones, your age. Thousands upon thousands of university students, university graduates, young professionals, thousands of them. The seeds that Srila Prabhupada planted in the 70s in India are sprouting so extraordinarily. This is Kali Yuga, by the way. That means that the downpour of degradation will go on except for those under an umbrella. And Lord Chaitanya, the Panchatattva, give you the umbrella amidst the downpour. So the downpour is coming, but for those who are under the umbrella, they experience something else. So take advantage of being under the umbrella. If you're smart, you'll do that. Yajnai Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi Sumedasa. If you actually have auspicious intelligence, it's raining, you come under an umbrella. So this is your chance in the golden age of Lord Chaitanya. Kali Yuga is there, but the umbrella is made available. All right?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your class. You mentioned how we are distributing love of God by distributing devotional service in the form of these transcendental books. I find in my personal Sankirtan that I don't really have much love for the people that I'm distributing to, and it can become very mechanical. Have you got any advice?
We're so glad that you are participating. That's step number one. You're already glorious for doing that. Now, put your heart into it by begging Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, please let me be your instrument. Whether I distribute 0 books, no books, 1 book, 10 books, 100 books, let me be your instrument. That is success.
Thank you.
Your heart will start to melt if you do like this. So we're very happy that you're trying. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for a really wonderful class. I was just wondering, it's a little bit of an aside, but you were speaking about the process of how Chaitanya Charitamrita was published. Recently in the Bhagavatam, I've reached the point where the devotees are now like finishing Prabhupada's work. I was wondering if you could elaborate on what that process was like and how those devotees were empowered to finish the Srimad Bhagavatam for Srila Prabhupada.
What do you mean by finish? You mean finish Prabhupada's 10th Canto Volume 1, or what do you mean?
Yeah, as in to pick up from where Prabhupada, after he departed, how they finished it.
After Prabhupada departed, I knew that the intense marathons the BBT staff loved so much, wouldn't be there anymore. So I left to go behind the Iron Curtain. Because I heard Prabhupada say, if anyone who preaches in communist countries gets the special mercy. So Prabhupada was no longer physically with us. I knew there would be no more Bhaktivedanta purports. So I had to find another challenge. So for the rest of the Bhagavatam, finished by the servants of Prabhupada, I wasn't around for. I was having fun and games with the KGB. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for inspiring us. How to take rejections when we are on the street and people just don't stop or just give us a very weird look. How do we?
This is why Krishna says, no one is more dear, nor will there ever be one more dear than the one who tries to distribute his glories to others. So you want to become dear to Krishna? You tolerate, just like Krishna is tolerating our many lifetimes of forgetting him. It's not that they're going to come up to you and say, I'm drowning in material existence. Can you save me? They think they're healthy. But super soul is in their heart. So Sankirtan involves the interaction of the super soul, the Sankirtan devotee, and the person you're approaching. Here's how it works. Because the super soul is independent. So you can approach someone who has no intention of taking the book, and then the super soul in the heart, because of you and your sincere endeavors, the super soul in your heart notices that, and then the super soul in the heart of the person you're approaching, who has no intention to take the book, the super soul says, take the book. I've heard Srila Prabhupada explain that's how the Sankirtan process can work. He Even persons who have no desire, don't want the book, don't want the interaction with the devotee. But for whatever reason, maybe past activities, or just the super soul is independent. I want you to take this book. So the person takes it because of the sincerity of the Sankirtan devotee. I often give the example, but I've been told it doesn't happen in London. Rain when the sun is shining brightly doesn't happen here. Sometimes happens in New Zealand all the time. It's called the sun shower. There are no clouds in the sky, but still rain is coming. Similarly, there can be no desire of the person to take the book, but the super soul, influenced by the purity of the Sankirtan devotee, the super soul can say, take it, take it. Okay? So you're part of a team. Pancha Tattva is the team that you're assisting. The super soul in everyone's heart, in your heart, you're assisting them. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Would you be able to say one story, one KGB Sankirtan story?
That's like asking a war veteran to talk about the hard times during the war. I can tell you about some crushing defeats. I was going to Bulgaria with Krishna Kshetra, the future Krishna Kshetra Swami, and we never took the Bulgarian police seriously. They thought they were bumblers, whereas we are veterans of infiltration. Crack troops, very expert after years of experience, how to evade, how to do clandestine organization, how to slip into these countries and slip out. So we were accustomed to such police states, prison camps like East Germany. Czech was Czechoslovakia. These were prison camps then. And the police were very expert. The secret police, very expert, made life so difficult. But Bulgaria, we used to laugh. Oh, Bulgaria. So we pulled up to the border, and we expected to be waved through, just gave our passports, we expected that they'd be stamped and we would enter. But then the immigration guy motioned us into the special garage they have. We called it the sauce garage because they really give you the sauce. They search everything in your car. They search under the car. They search the petrol tank. There's special garages that if they think you're suspicious, they send your car into that garage, and 5 officers pour over your car, just looking everywhere for signs of illegal activity, and certainly spreading Krishna consciousness was considered highly illegal. So we knew that our car is clean, we're clean, no visible neck beads, no visible Brahman's threads, no books, nothing that someone would think is related to Krishna. So they searched our whole car, searched the engine, searched everything. Went underneath the car. Nothing. And so Krishna Kshetra, Brahmachari and I are just watching. Oh, these Bulgarians. Why are they troubling us? We're such experts. And it's demeaning for us to be investigated by Bulgarian police. They're like country bumpkins, hicks. So then they pointed to our collection of cassettes, because back then they were just cassette recorders, And so we had our cassettes with all Prabhupada's lectures, bhajans, but no labels on the cassettes. Just like a number 1, number 2. We knew what each cassette was and what the numbers referred to. But there's no way the police could pick up a cassette and see anything like Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust. The cassettes back then would say Spiritual Sky and Bhajan, Bhaja Mana. All the labels were peeled off. We were so expert. So then they kind of shocked us. They said, they motioned. They couldn't speak English. They motioned. We want to hear. We want to hear. So we just laughed. You want to hear Prabhupada's lectures? You can understand his accent. You don't even know English. What to speak of someone who knows English? The first time hearing Prabhupada is Bengali English, is such a thick accent. We just laughed. Yeah, put a cassette in our cassette player in the car and listen. Sure. So we just knew that they would be totally bewildered. They didn't even speak English. They were, at that point, they were grasping for straws, as we say. They found a pack of incense. Incense. That it's like they read some kind of bulletin from their department that watch out for incense. But that wasn't enough to put us in danger. Just look, the incense. So they put Prabhupada's cassette in as we were just smirking. Krishna Chaitanya and I just, oh, why are we wasting our time with these guys? Let's get on with it. And then they put in the cassette, so we knew Prabhupada was going to be talking about something esoteric. They would never understand. All of a sudden, top volume comes out of the speaker. This is real religion. Krishna! Not Buddha. Not Jainism, but Krishna. At that point, we knew Krishna doesn't want us here right now. Wrong time, wrong place. They heard that. And these are the only English words they knew. Religion, Krishna, Buddha, all contraband. So they just looked at us and smiled and said, now you may enter the country. No problem. We knew what that meant. It was a cat and mouse game. They would let us go into the country and then follow us wherever we went and try to get all the devotees who were living secretly. So we just, basically we turned around the next day and left. We just took it as Krishna's arrangement that he didn't want us there at that time. We did our best. And that's all you can do today. Do your best. Krishna's watching. So there's one story. A defeat. But we kept going. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. So, Raj, many of the devotees have already kind of touched on this Naga Sankirtan, and I was wondering, is there when we're out there singing, and how often we see the picture of the Pancha Tattva, and how liberated they are in actually the pictures that we see, and we can actually, a lot of feeling comes from those pictures of how freely they are actually distributing this love of God. And how is it possible for us also to have a mood within us to do something similar in the same kind of vein as they have done?
That's what this community is meant for. So join in. That's why we have this monthly Sankirtan festival. It's just one day a month. You can set the time aside on your calendar and participate, and then come together afterwards for a grand celebration of everyone's effort, whether big or small. That's why we have this festival. And you are here today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.